Thank you very much. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to be here today and to speak to you on this stage. It's honestly a huge honor to be here today. I am happy on the one hand and sad on the other. I'm happy because after many years I can stand here in front of you and talk about our own experiences, concerns and goals. I say that after a long time ago because, as I know from our party's own great old people, nearly 30 years ago, not only were our parties much stronger and more successful, not only did they govern our countries, but they also had very close and productive relations with each other. Perhaps there are others among you to whom these names mean something. Still, Israel Gad, Dov Per, Miha Harris, and of course Shimon Peres. They all did a lot to ensure that there was a living and active relationship between Hungarian left and Israeli left on that days. Although this relationship seemed to fade in recent years, we will do our best to make it active and close again from now on. In these times, when the world and our own countries are starting to go completely crazy, it is essential that we cooperate on an international level as well. And let's not forget while we on the left were busy with our own even internal problems, our opponents, especially Orban and Netanyahu, are cooperating on a daily basis in order to gain and maintain their own political power. On the other hand, I'm sad, because the reason why I was invited today is simply horrifying. What is happening in Israel these days, months, and what has happened in my beloved country for the 13th year now is no cause for joy. And indeed, with the justice package, the package you are demonstrating against, it looks very much like Israel has reached a red line of no return. And yes, many are rightly afraid that Israel will follow the Hungarian path. But this is not the case today, yet, in my opinion, in Israel. Because what is happening in Hungary today? What is worth knowing about the so-called national cooperation system, which even in its name does not hide what gave it the model? I'm quoting. Everything should be included by the state, everything should be for the state, and nothing should be happen against the state, said the Duce in the 1920s. And indeed, we are already past most of them in Hungary. A new one-party constitution, a new suffrage law that guarantees a two-thirds majority parliamentary majority out of a relative society majority. The occupation of the state institution by party members or supporters as the Constitutional Court, the State Audit Office, the National Electoral Committee, the Prosecutor's Office, and so on. I could go on until tomorrow morning. Although very few people know it abroad, the introduction of an extraordinary legal order since the breakout of the COVID, which enables continuous government by degree, even without the parliament. We have it in Hungary for years now. Restricting the rights of trade unions and employees, keeping opposition parties and civil movements in financial and legal dependence, with continuous investigations, punishment, and discrediting campaigns. Hungary is a member of the European Union. You may rightly ask, how can this happen in an EU member state? After all, today's Hungary would not be even accepted as an EU member because it does not meet a number of basic criteria. Well, the EU went through these without taking any meaningful steps. They only got stuck on 2 points lately: corruption around EU funds and government steps against the independence of the courts. This is where we are now, the Orban government has to choose between billions of EU euros and its own plans to concentrate more power. In the absence of the former, an economic crisis threatens Hungary, and in the absence of the latter, the system may be substantially weakened. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention to a very important difference regarding the development of the Hungarian and the Israeli domestic politics beyond EU membership. And this is the question of how. How was Orban able to carry all these through without major social resistance? Of course, a social shift to the right can be observed in both countries, which favored the process from the start. But I would like to draw your attention to two very important things as a lesson. On the one hand, as I always say, the Hungarian people were like the frog under which the water is slowly boiling, and by the time it realizes that it is boiling, it's too late and cannot jump out. In order to do this, Orban used the ancient principle of divide and rule, as well as by always making changes gradually, never taking steps that would negatively affect the daily lives of the broad masses of ordinary people. He measured and then cut, then measured again. There was a case, the internet tax issue, when nearly 100,000 people took to the streets of Budapest. Then he withdrew it within 24 hours and never took it back. And he constantly creates new and newer enemy. It is enough to think of the stomach-turning Soros campaign, where the country was literally covered with posters of George Soros, laughing sarcastically with the inscription, let's not let Soros laugh at the end. This was financed by the government. I'll be honest, it was no different than what you can see in the first hall of Yad Vashem. Netanyahu's visit to Budapest in 2017, these posters were scrapped off one by one to the airport so that they would not be visible, but they were all around the country except the way to the airport. Or just the latest campaign where they put pictures of giant bombs on the posters announcing Brussels sanctions will ruin us. Ladies and gentlemen, the same time when Russian bombs were killing hundreds of women, children, and elders in Ukraine, in our neighboring country. The other case, and this is what I would like to draw your attention the most, is the true basis of the power. Do you know which law was the first to be amended after 2010? The suffrage law? No. The Constitution? No. The party law? No. The media law. A propaganda machine reminiscent of the 30s or the communist dictatorship of the 50s has been set up, which guarantees the manipulation of millions of Hungarians on a daily basis, and thus the support of the government and as well the literal hatred of the opposition. After expropriating the state media, the real key to their power is the acquisition and destruction of the independent media, surveillance of the journalists, and almost unbelievable concentration of media in Europe. Two-thirds majority of the nationally important political media, TV, radio, internet, are directly under their political influence. Propaganda is directed from the Prime Minister's office, and the direction of a minister responsible for this, who after 2022 parliamentary election also was given the supervision of all secret services. Do you have any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Why did I want to tell you this, and what can be learned from this here in Israel? First and foremost, strike the iron while it is hot. If your prime minister has made the strategic mistake of restoring to a tool that is unacceptable to millions of ordinary people here in Israel because of his own predicament, then the power must be used, now to stop the loss of your democracy. The other lesson is that in addition to the independence of the courts, the most important thing is to take care of the free media like the apple of their eyes. Even if one or another independent media does, as I'm telling you as a politician, is sometimes annoying, superficial, or downright offensively unfair. The media, and of course this is also true of social media, is a separate branch of power that can influence the operation of all other branches of power. And you cannot choose another one every 4 years. It's enough to lose it once. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have many things to be proud of in our history. We have many things to fight for in our present. And we have a lot to do, at least for our children's future. The vision they professed when Israel was founded, the vision we Hungarians professed during the regime change. Peace, solidarity, and just society will not be realized without us social democrats. The world has turned upside down. If it will be controlled by opportunists like Orban, Netanyahu, or Trump, or even war criminals like Putin, it will surely bring hatred, division, and ultimately suffering and war to everywhere. And the price we will pay, and the price will be paid again by those who had nothing to do with it at all, like it happened all the time and happening now in Ukraine. We just can't let this happen. There is always a first step to start with. I'm afraid we've already passed this in both our countries, but there is also a penultimate one, when it can still be stopped. This is beyond doubt here in Israel. So get together with all Democrats, but especially with the people of Israel, and give hope also to the millions who have lost their faith in Hungary that it can be done. Thank you very much for listening. And last but not least, I wish you a very, very happy 75th birthday to all to you, and wish a good luck to the next 2,000 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.